Hey guys, this is the Reaper back again with another Reaper's review. So today we're going to be reviewing Boruto episode 8. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So last episode we had a bit of a surprise. We had a pretty good episode, all things considered. So this episode wait, what is that? Is that a Atsuki? Oh wow, this is great. That's fantastic. Out of all the events and plot points leading up to Boruto, the emphasis on Kazuya and Hagoromo and anything Otsutsuki has been some of the most well-received, exciting, plot-consistent events in the entire series, and I'm sure we're all dying to see much more of that. So Boruto and his friends go and see a movie, and afterwards it sparks a discussion about the reality and fiction about being a shinobi, more focused on whether hardship of reality can be minimized in a story. For whatever reason, Boruto lies to his friend about how much he enjoys the movie and the character, and uses this as an opportunity to slant his dad again. Of course, this is all technically hearsay, as Boruto still does not provide any proof or reasons of why he should be insulting his dad. On the way home, Boruto and Shigadai are once again discussing the mystery of the shadows, why only Boruto can see them, and whether or not they should tell the adults. At this point, we've had this conversation like 4 or 5 times, and with the events becoming more frequent, as well as the fact that the adults now have an idea of what is going on, there are more and more reasons that they should begin cooperating with the adults. However, sticking to their very basic, we don't want the adults to get involved, we want to handle things ourselves line of logic, they decide to continue withholding information from the adults, therefore putting lives in. Sounds like a reasonable thing to do. So Boruto has a conference meeting with himself to once again discuss everything we know about the shadow. And wait a minute, are they doing is this a freaking clip show? Wow, Boruto, this is low, even for you. We're only 8 episodes in. Nobody is confused or lost by this extremely basic plot. And we just had this conversation 4 minutes ago. If you guys needed to pad the runtime of this episode, I'm pretty sure you could have just ended it early and nobody would have complained. But anyway, so we get about 5 minutes of Boruto talking to himself and having flashbacks of previous episodes before Boruto gets fed up with the whole thing and decides to go out for a midnight snack. It just so happened that both Mitsuki and Shigadai were thinking the same thing, and the three end up having a chat about the Byakuya, offering an explanation to what Boruto might actually be seeing. That night, Boruto has a dream, and he's visited by our favorite Naruto plot point, a member of the Otsutsuki. He goes on to tell Boruto that he's special, that he's the chosen one, that he's a child of destiny, that he's the protagonist of his own TV show. And man, I'm just so glad they're bringing back all the most well-received parts of Naruto. So Boruto wakes up and he gets his first look at his special eye. Now convinced that the dream was more than just a dream, Boruto gets extremely excited at the prospect of being the main character in the TV show. His hero monologue syndrome gets so severe that when Naruto gets home from work, Hinata tells him that Boruto is acting weird. In standard uncaring deadbeat dad behavior, Naruto rushes to his son's room to see if he's okay. Now, whoever wrote this scene really needs to be fired, because it's absolutely awful. Just dreadful. If you think Reaper's lying, then I dare you to go and watch this. Right after this, let's just go ahead and get through this. I'm really tired of talking about this before. Boruto excitedly tells his good-for-nothing dad that he has awakened a new power. And for some odd reason, Naruto immediately jumps to the possibility of Boruto reading the Scroll of Sealing and learning new jutsu. This whole thing is extremely stupid, both from the way Boruto phrased his declaration to the fact that he, as Hokage, wasn't alerted that a national treasure was stolen. There's less than 0% reason why Naruto should assume that this is the case, and they literally only brought this up to shoot in some Naruto nostalgia in the worst way possible. It's super cringy. So they talk about Naruto without talking about Naruto, as all members including Boruto, Hinata, Shikamaru, and Naruto himself, agreed that Kin Naruto is a reprehensible individual. I'm glad they're all laughing because I don't think anybody outside the Boruto universe finds this funny. Boruto tells the group that he's awakened his Byakugan, and Naruto and co look at him like, but that's impossible. Seriously, guys? You need to get with the program. This isn't Naruto anymore. This is Boruto, where things just happen. Like, for real, Naruto, you don't remember that? You don't remember how the most important thing of your life was ruined when Himawari spontaneously awakened her Byakugan? I mean, look, turn around, she's right behind you. She's literally right there. Now, you do know that Boruto and Himawari are related, right? I mean, it's quite possible the same thing could happen here. I mean, I'm not trying to harp on about it. I'm just saying that the fact that they mentioned Himawari and they're still acting like it's impossible for Boruto to awaken a Byakugan without training just seems like they're adding unnecessarily unsuccessfully, might I add. So, in a nutshell, Naruto tells Boruto he doesn't believe he has trained hard enough to activate a Byakugan. And after this, Boruto completely shuts down, mumbling that Naruto doesn't believe him and thinks he's lying. Now, I've talked about this at length in another video. A link to that should be floating somewhere on. But if you're not one of those people that like to click links on other videos, here's a brief summary. This is a good example of where showing, not telling, makes a big difference. Right now, we have no reason to believe Boruto should react to this. Boruto says all these awful things about Naruto, but we haven't actually seen him do anything to justify these claims. It's actually quite the contrary. In this episode, we see Naruto so tired at work that he nearly collapses, which is why he actually goes home early. As soon as he gets home, he hears that Boruto's acting weird, and the first thing he does is rush to his room to see if he can help. This is not an attitude that matches Boruto's poor perception of Naruto. If they want to make this whole scene make sense, or the character of Boruto make sense in general, instead of wasting time showing us clips of things that we've just seen and just talked about, they could have shown us some clips of Naruto scolding Boruto after the train incident in episode 1. Maybe Naruto is getting so angry that he tells Boruto that he's an embarrassment, as these actions aren't befitting the son of a Hokage, and Hinata actually has to step in and calm Naruto down. Boruto tries to shrug it off and act like it doesn't affect him, but we see that actually he's very hurt by Naruto's comments. Or another flashback, where Boruto is having dinner with his whole family and begins bragging to them how he has the second highest score in his entire class. At which point Naruto speaks up and says that he knows that he was fighting in class and comments that there's nothing commendable about not getting along with your classmates. This type of dynamic would be enough to bring some tension to their relationship and justify some of Boruto's more harsh ideals about Naruto. But say you don't want to do any of that. Say you just want to do the most basic, most minimal effort way to rewrite the scene and give some legitimacy to the story that you've been telling and some credibility to the characters you've been writing. It could go something like this. Naruto comes home fatigued after a long day of work, and he hears that Boruto's acting weird. Naruto reluctantly drags himself to Boruto's room, where Boruto excitedly tries to explain to him that he has unlocked his Byakugan. After a few minutes of Boruto's excited raving, Naruto gets tired and says he doesn't have time for Boruto's games today, and expresses that he's had a long day of work and just wants to rest. Boruto, recognizing this as typical Naruto behavior, as never being able to spend time with him or take interest in anything he's doing, begins to get angry, and the two start to fight. To the point where Naruto flares up and tells Boruto to just use the Byakugan, that way everybody will know. When Boruto ends up not being able to do that, Naruto scoffs at him and says he doesn't have time for this before walking out of the room. As Hinata, Shikamaru, and Himawari follow Naruto out of the room, we see Boruto looking both hurt and frustrated as once again he's been brushed off by his father. And there you have it. With about 8 or 9 lines of dialogue to give legitimacy to the entire character, it's not that hard. I literally wrote that off the cuff. Like, how did the Boruto writers still have jobs at this point. Like, I'd ask you guys to put me on the payroll, but I doubt you can afford me. Anyway, back to the story. So, after the conversation, they decide that the best course of action is to talk to Hiyashi Hyuga, Naruto's father-in-law and Boruto's parents. When they meet Hiyashi, he begins to facts about the Byakugan, which seem in line with what Naruto was saying regarding the intense training it requires. But he ultimately decides that they should have a sparring match, noting that even if Boruto has an immature Byakugan, any evidence of its existence should come out. And the episode ends right there, on the precursor of a fight. So, what's Reaper's verdict? Can you help me out, Ryuji?
She'll come back!
Get about 7 minutes of Boruto and Chikadai having the same conversations about the shadows. Get about 4 minutes of flashback. And I know Naruto was notorious for having excessive, lengthy flashbacks, but the series was 1,000 episodes long. I'm sure that there are details that people needed to remember. In episode 8 of this extremely basic anime, I really don't think that we need all that. They had the most desperate attempt of nostalgia humor I've ever seen, and character interaction so bad you almost feel sorry for the voice actors. All in all, it was a very painful experience, and one of those instances that makes you wonder, why did they do this? And on top of that, it seems that it's the writer's intentions to resurrect all the weakest points of Naruto and make a series of it. I fear we might have some dark times ahead. But we'll leave that for another video. For now, I think it's time to bring this review to a close. My name is The Reaper, and I'm a YouTuber for fun. Today's challenge, phone a friend. Good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next.